I'm glad to be back. My voice is a little off. You can tell that I'm a little sick still, but I've had COVID since about a week ago. And so, yeah, it wasn't fun. I've been laid up, sweating, coughing, runny nose, body aches, the whole nine. I seem to be the type that every time I catch this is the fifth time, by the way. I teach kids, a lot of kids, sometimes 20 individual kids in a week. And, they're sweating, skateboarding. And, kids are just like breeding grounds for illnesses anyway. So I get sick all the time whenever they get sick. It is what it is, though. I love what I do. But, yeah, the reason that I'm making this video is I played a show the past weekend. The Saturday before I felt sick, it was February 24th. It was in Highland Park at a place called Music Garden LA, which I love. It's run by James Rowe, who's been a friend of mine for a very long time. Actually taught me a lot of what I learned on guitar when I was transitioning from my early phase of guitar playing, where I started out with punk power chords and then just learned some cowboy chords and all that stuff, to being able to play a triad, to being able to start to change the voicings that I was playing. Like, he's one of the people responsible for me starting on that journey. And he also turned me on to a lot of interesting music that I still listen to today. So shout out to James. I also played the show with two of my great friends, Ike Kawaguchi and the band Blue Wisteria, or two pieces of the band, Gloria Hernandez and Luna Soul. They are sisters. I grew up skateboarding with all three of them. So Ike Kawaguchi and the Blue Wisteria band at Hollywood High. So it was just amazing to play. We had a decent crowd show up, made some tips, which was cool. They're from the brewery next door, I'm sure, and the people selling hot chicken at the front of the place. Gonna put on more shows like that in the future, but it was a great time. And then the next morning I felt ill, which I don't think had anything to do with the show. But I posted a video, me playing one of my songs from that show, and I wanted to highlight my guitar rig. So the piece that I just played before this is a song that I wrote a long time ago called Life is a Gamble. I perform it live, and you could see this bit of my setup right here. And I just want to get into my guitar rig and why I think that it is an interesting rig that can work out for a lot of people. So I don't play with a band anymore live. I found that it was becoming a hindrance to try to coordinate with 4 or 5 other people. And I tend to write the songs myself and record them with my MPC before I play them anyway. So there was no need for me to have those types of chains, being chained to other people's rehearsal schedule, work ethic, willingness to learn the material at home instead of at rehearsals. And I didn't need it. So I've got backing tracks that I make on the MPC, and then I mix in Logic Pro 10, and I add them to this Zoom H5 recorder, and it works fantastically. At the beginning of the video, I was playing into this Soundcore Motion Boom Plus, which it's an amazing Bluetooth speaker. But live, I played a show at the Silver Lake Lounge recently, and I went into a DI box out of this, and he mixed everything perfect. The show last weekend, if you can believe it or not, my backing track was going through a bass amp, and it sounded great. Everyone could hear everything well. The video that I posted here on YouTube, you couldn't hear the backing track as well.
When we're looking back, are we gonna laugh?
But that's just because Gloria from Blue Wisteria just shot that on my iPhone for me. So there's never much separation in that situation, but I still think it sounded relatively well. But let's get to the big reason that I'm making this video, and that is my guitar setup. So you can see the Quilter block dock here. And this is a 10-inch guitar speaker. The reason that I got this is because it's a 10-inch speaker, but it can handle a pretty big amp. So I was using the Victory V4 Duchess for a while, but I didn't get the sound that I wanted out of that. That's a full amplifier that's about this size. It's a little bit lighter than this and a little bit smaller than this. And I would use that in my HX Stomp and a drive pedal, and it sounded okay. But there's been kind of a revolution in just like pedal-sized guitar amplifiers. And, you know, I also got the Orange Terror stamp, which I'm actually playing through in the video. I'm playing this Orange Terror stamp, which is a 20-watt hybrid amp, but I'm only using the 12AX7 powered preamp tube going into this, which this is amazing. This is called the Mooer tube engine. And what it is it's a 20-watt all tube power amp. I believe it uses 6 L6 power tubes. It's very loud if you need it to be 22 watts. It's also got a 12AX7 tube, but I forget what that does in the schematic. And yeah, it's got a volume and it's got a presence knob. So if you're not getting the presence you need out of your setup, you can just alter that. It works really well for me. And but at the beginning of this video, we'll talk about the Terror stamp a little bit later, because this sounds great through this. You know, it's like having a larger orange amp, but we'll get into that later. And maybe I'll make another video on that setup. But if you listen to the track that I played at the beginning of this, I'm going through my guitar rig here. And yeah, this is my baby. This is my all-purpose guitar rig. So the chain here is, well, first off, I've got the Nux Golden Horse, which is a clone pedal. It does the job. I don't really care if it sounds exactly like the original clone, but what I do care about is that it is a transparent drive, or whatever the hell that means, but it doesn't add a ridiculous amount of mids. It's got two settings. It's got, like, if you hold down the foot pedal, it's got like a higher gain setting. And I use just the traditional setting. I've actually got the gain just below noon, and the output was set pretty low on this because I actually did use this to get the drive out of it, instead of using it the way some people use clone style pedals, which is have the gain way down and use it for some output. But the real centerpiece of this setup is the Two Notes Revolt. And I think I've talked about the Two Notes Revolt on this channel before. What this is it's a 3-channel 12AX7 powered, and it's using the tube at 200 volts. So it's using it at high voltage, the way that a traditional tube amp is supposed to perform. And that gives you the same preamp qualities as vintage amps. And this replicates 3 vintage amps. So what you heard at the beginning was the clean channel. And the clean channel is a Fender Bassman bass channel. It's got a 2-band EQ. This is how I had it set up. So this is the bass and this is the treble. And then I had the gain and the volume dimed. And another beautiful thing about this is it's got this boost. I have the boost up at noon. Let me grab my guitar and just so you can hear how it sounds at the moment. So yeah, it's just a classic Fender style sound, and it does well with the song that I played, which is called Life is a Gamble. And I love that sound. And then I'm using effects from the Line 6 HX Stomp. So this is just a patch that I've created specifically for this setup. And it's got a comp, and next to the comp there is an octave, which I wasn't using, a harmonizer, which I wasn't using, or a pitch shifter. But I was using the Cosmos Echo, which is like a space echo setting. There's also a flanger, which I wasn't using. But there's the Glitz reverb. The Glitz is like my favorite reverb in the HX Stomp. So yeah, just a simple effects chain with like the space echo gives it kind of a slap back, and then it's got a little bit of the reverb. So it just goes Golden Horse, Two Notes Revolt into the HX Stomp and out to the Mooer tube engine. And that gives you all the power that you need. It's wonderful sounding and it's extremely versatile. Now, at other times, when I want more of the oranges sound, because we'll get into the other channels on the Two Notes Revolt, but it doesn't give you this sound. And I am a fan of this sound. You know, anybody who's a fan of the orange sound, when I played the gig, we were playing outdoors and I wasn't getting the right sound out of the two notes. And so instead I did this, I used the same exact setup just into this, and I bypassed the Two Notes Revolt completely. And if you go back and watch that video, I think it sounded great and much louder than you would expect. You know, a lot of people, they like these big cabs, these 4x10 or 4x12, 2x12 cabs. I am a fan of 10-inch speakers for guitar. I'm not looking for a lot of bottom end coming from my guitar sound. I like a tight, focused sound. The speaker in this Quilter amp gives me that. And this Quilter cabinet gives me that. I love what I get out of this. And it works well with both of these amplifiers. And I also like the convenience of being able to break my signal chain up. So I had a lot of different combo amps. I had the orange Rocker 15. I did like that amp. Like that amp quite a bit, but I grew a little bit tired of it. And then I had the Marshall Origin 20, I believe it was, 20C. And that amp was okay. It didn't give me quite the Marshall sound that I can get out of this, which will go the crunch channel in the Two Notes Revolt. So I ended up getting rid of that and going for a Jazz Chorus 40, which I still have and I still do play with. So when I played the show at the Silver Lake Lounge, I played this setup, but I used the power amp of the Jazz Chorus instead of the tube engine. And sometimes I prefer the Jazz Chorus and sometimes I prefer the tube engine. For the Silver Lake Lounge gig, I wasn't rushing. It wasn't very far away. I wasn't really worried about how heavy the setup was, because even the Jazz Chorus 40 is pretty heavy compared to like this little lunchbox here and this very light cab and this pedal board that I have here, right? Like, it's on a pedal train Nano. It comes with its own gig bag. I sling that over my back. This and my cables are in a backpack, and then I have my guitar in this, and I can carry all of that at one time. It's one trip. It's really easy. So if I'm going somewhere that's a little further away, like when I played in Long Beach, I played this little festival, it's really easy for me to run with this setup. But when I'm playing somewhere close by, sometimes I'll just go with the Jazz Chorus, because I like the ability to, if I want, use this Two Notes Revolt with the Jazz Chorus's preamp. I found that that's kind of nice. I can just use the two notes as another drive pedal, and that works since that's a solid state amp. Using this tube, this 12AX7 tube powered pedal, I can use it just as a drive pedal with the Jazz Chorus, and that sounds nice. But that just depends on if I want the extra weight from the Jazz Chorus. And I like being able to, I like having that versatility. I also like that when I'm recording tracks, like sometimes you guys will see me just put this rig into my MPC and it sounds great. Sometimes when I'm recording everything in Logic and I'm only using the MPC for drums, then I'll go into Logic use this rig and it sounds great. The Two Notes Revolt also has a cab simulator, and I have used that on some recordings. Although sometimes I just prefer not to use the cab sims. I don't always like to use cab sims, but it works in all of those ways. It's lightweight. It's very easy for me to work with. By the way, this is all powered with this Eventide Power Max because the Two Notes pedal is a 600 milliamp pedal. So I needed enough power for that. And also the HX Stomp, it requires a specific power. It has its own specific power requirements that make it tricky to power it off of some pedal power. So I had to find this one, and I had to get some adapters as well that were a little annoying to come by. But once I got past that, I got this set up, and it's really easy to work with. And this is a little bit of my song Memories, which I also performed at the show. That was channel number 2, the crunch channel on this Two Notes Revolt pedal. And this is supposed to be a Marshall Plexi. And then the way that it works is once I pass about 11 o'clock on the gain here, then it becomes a hot rodded Plexi. I was playing through it just below that, so it's just a simple Plexi. And this channel shares a 3-band EQ with the other channel over here, which I'll talk about a little bit, but I don't tend to use that third channel because it's not really my style. But yeah, they share this EQ. All of the channels share the same boost, so if you're using multiple channels, you might have to adjust it. That might be a little annoying for some people, but it's never been a problem for me because usually for me, it's for one song, I'm using one preamp sound. So not really that difficult. And then these days I try to use my volume rocker to change between gain, just to make it easy on myself, not have to tap dance and maybe hit the wrong foot switch. So when I'm playing live, I get the volume and the gain the way I want it. And then I'll adjust the volume on my guitar to clean up the sound a little bit. And that's working really well. It takes some getting used to as compared to just stomping on a pedal, but it works. But this Marshall channel, it's given me a much closer sound to what I was looking for from the Marshall Origin. And that one, it was like Marshall Plexi light tone kind of, So I really prefer what I can get out of the Two Notes pedal, and not bad for a $400 pedal, And then pairing that with the tube engine, it's like a win-win because this thing's phenomenal. But I just want to talk a little bit about the third channel here. This is what they call the lead channel here. And this is based on a Soldano SLO 100. And now, I don't really play high gain music at all. So I don't have much use for that channel. But here's a little bit of what it sounds like. So I'm gonna bypass the HX Stomp. And enough of that. So yeah, maybe I didn't do it justice trying to play metal without a pick. I can't remember where I sat my pick down when I put the guitar away the first time, but you get an idea of what it sounds like, and I think it sounds pretty good for what it is. It's not really a sound that I have that much use for, at least at this time. Maybe later play some heavy music with friends, but it is a great sounding channel, and especially with this tube engine, it sounds superb in my opinion. I know this is coming in through my camera mic, and that might not be the best representation, but this camera mic does sound decent, so I'm sure you're getting an idea of what it sounds like. But yeah, that's basically my guitar rig. The Terror Stamp, that's another one, like really good. Like basically, if you can find one of these Mooer tube engines, I actually got a blemished one from Thomann, because they don't sell them in the U.S. That's the strange thing. They don't sell the Mooer tube engine in the United States. So I found mine on Thomann, and Thomann will have some really good deals, because when I bought mine, I found it like $100 cheaper, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It came with everything in the package. It's got like, you can mount this in a rack, so it's got like rack mountable feet on it. I don't have a rack, so I just have mine right on top of the cab here, and it works pretty well. But yeah, I like having this setup that's broken up like this. Gives me some choice, because I went through so many amps. I mean, from the Hot Rod Deluxe, which is fine, to the Dean Markley CD30, which that was kind of cool. I know Eric Clapton played one of those, either the 30 or the 60 back in the 80s. And at the time, this was like 2016 when I switched to that amp. I was kind of going for that sound. And then I went from those to, I believe, the Orange. And the Orange lasted me a couple years. Like, I liked the Orange for a couple years. To the Marshall. The Marshall didn't last me very long, because I started to notice things about the tone, and also the cab of the Marshall, when you got it up to a certain volume, it would rattle like crazy. And even though it didn't, like, people couldn't hear it when you're playing a show, it bothered me. It didn't feel good to me. And so that, plus I just kind of noticed, like, listening to some of my friends that had like old and bigger, older Marshalls, like theirs sounded a lot better than what I was getting out of that. So that one went. And then the Jazz Chorus, which I had the Jazz Chorus. I bought the Jazz Chorus while I still had the Rocker 15, and I would play shows with both of those in like a stereo rig, and I kept the Jazz Chorus the whole time. Like, that's my favorite combo amp. I had a second one for a while, but I just didn't need it. And then, yeah, I started this kind of modular setup, because I just realized that this is a really versatile way to go. And it also gives me more control over the different aspects of my sound. And this is kind of my favorite way to do it now. So yeah, this is a different video. There's no MPC, there's no Tascam Model 12. But I just thought I'd make something about my guitar setup, because I play a lot of guitar and I don't really talk about it on this channel, and this is my music channel, so I should talk more about guitar stuff. Let me know if you guys want more videos about this guitar stuff, because yeah, before I started with the MPC, you know, I'd had like a whole musical journey where I'd record live music. Like, I would play everything, still had a rehearsal space. I would spend hours miking the drums, and miking the bass amps, miking the guitar amps, and then record all of that stuff. And it was a pain. It's so much easier the way that I do it now, where I just do all the drums with the MPC, and then still play my live instruments the way that I play them. It's just so much easier for me. So much easier to play live shows the way that I'm playing them now. I'm actually getting into a rhythm and a routine, which I had with a couple of incarnations of my live outfit before, but it was hard to maintain because people have schedules. I'm fortunate enough to have, I work for myself, so I basically set my own schedule. So when I have a show, I have days that I can rehearse for 6 hours, where that's just not an option in most people's circumstances. And to be real about it, like if you're in a band and you don't have the ability to rehearse 3, 4, 5 hours multiple times a week, you're never really going to reach a point where you're playing the way you want to play. It takes a lot of work to get a live show together as a band. It takes a lot of work to get a live show together as an individual, and I'm just getting used to it, but I can already recognize the progress that I'm able to make when I only have me and my equipment to worry about versus, is this person going to show up on time? Will this person have done their practice before we get together to rehearse? Practice and rehearsal are very different things, and some people just never really grasp that. So I like the journey that I'm on now, making music by myself. Not that I won't ever play with other people, but as far as the songs that I write that are for expressing myself, that mean the most to me, I'm gonna do this because I just don't want anything to get in the way of me expressing myself. It's getting together with friends and playing some loud, heavy music live, maybe some hardcore, maybe some punk or something like that. That'd be fun. Even playing like some R&B jams, like that'd be fun. But I'm never going to let other people get in the way of me expressing myself creatively, because like I play and write music almost every day, and like that's the stuff that's sacred to me, that means the most to me. I just can't have all those moving parts getting in the way of it. But yeah, if you guys are interested in more guitar focused stuff, let me know in the comments. And anybody who watched this long ass thing, thank you. My voice is going, so bye bye.